Hello from a campervan stopover here in the Highlands of Scotland. Today I am going to be heading to the very north of mainland Scotland this time. This is an area that I haven't really been in before because it's on the North Coast 500 route, and to be honest I've tended to avoid this area because it's very busy and very popular. However, it is the off season now, so I presume it'll be a little quieter. So today I am going to explore this area for the first time. Let's get going. I will quickly show you where I stayed last night before I hit the road. So this is called the Forbes Croft Motorhome Inn, and it's part of Campra, and there are around 40 Campra stopovers around Scotland, and it's great to see more of these being set up. So there's 3 spots here for campervans, and then up there are some shepherd's huts that you can rent, and if no one's staying in the shepherd's hut you can use the bathroom. So I used the shower and toilet in the shepherd's hut up there. This is quite a new campervan air, so I think they're still setting some things up, but there's bins behind me, and then there's also fresh water. There's nowhere to put the grey water or the toilet waste at the moment. It's in the most beautiful location. So behind me are the peat bogs. So this is part of an area called the Flow Country. Here's the shepherd's hut, so cute. And then this here is the bathroom. Very nice bathroom. There's the shower and there's the toilet. If you want access to everything like the electric, the shower, the water, it's £20 to stay the night, but there's different prices depending on what you take. So if you don't have a shower, I think it's cheaper. Because today I'm going to the top of Scotland, I feel like I should do some Scottish things throughout the day. And I checked on Google, and nearby here there is a very highly reviewed and rated cafe, and they've got amazing Scottish breakfasts. I don't tend to eat Scottish breakfasts that often, maybe a few times a year, and usually it's when I'm hungover, but I'll head there first because the pictures of the food look so good. Not far from the campervan air is the village of Libster. I've arrived in the nearby village. Let's go and see if they have the Scottish breakfast. And I need a coffee as well, I'm quite tired. It's like this is it here. My Scottish breakfast included fried eggs, hash browns, baked beans, vegetarian sausage and tomato. The breakfast was really nice. What I find interesting is when you order a Scottish breakfast in Scotland, it's not always the same. So sometimes you'll get haggis on a breakfast, but today, for example, there was no haggis, but instead I got some vegetarian sausages. I think it would be nice to have the sausages and the haggis, but different places make them differently. But always my least favourite part of a Scottish breakfast is the baked beans. Does anyone else feel the same? They're okay, but they're not my favourite part of the breakfast. Anyway, it was a good start to the day, really enjoyed it. Now I'm going to head to a place that I spotted on the map. This looks really interesting, and I don't think it's a regular stop on the North Coast 500. I'm always interested in historical places, and this one has quite a long history, so I'm going to go and see what it's like. I next made my way into the remote and atmospheric landscape of Caithness, and the ancient Campster cairns came into view. Behind me are the Campster cairns. So I spotted these on Google Maps and they looked really interesting because after I visited Orkney last year, I became quite interested in Neolithic structures and Neolithic history. And these are some of the oldest stone structures in Scotland, over 5,000 years old. You can go inside, but I think it's quite low and quite narrow. Let's go and have a look. The Campster cairns are among the best preserved Neolithic chamber tombs in the British Isles. Dating back around 5,000 years, these ancient structures provide a glimpse into the lives, rituals and engineering skills of Scotland's early communities. The site features 2 main monuments. Campster Long is the elongated cairn which has multiple burial chambers. It likely served as a communal tomb, used for successive burials over time, and may have held ceremonial or ritual significance. Campster Round is the circular cairn with a single central burial chamber. It was likely also used for burials and potentially as a site for religious or social ceremonies. It's said that the location of the cairns on this windswept moor has likely added to their preservation, protecting them from modern farming. So cold already. So cold. I think when I get back to the van I need to put on a bigger jacket. Here is the entrance to the cairn. A little further along is this other door. This one looks a little bit bigger. Okay, here's the entrance to the tomb. Oh, I'm quite nervous to go in. Should be okay. Oh, the door is so small. Okay. I'm in. Oh, wow. It is so cool in here. This is what it looks like when you first come inside. So you go into this very small alleyway and then there's this room at the back. Let's go and see what's in there. It's much more spacious inside than I had expected. I wonder if the other tunnels are the same or if they're smaller. Let's go in and check the other room as well. This is the other one. Oh, this is really narrow in here. Oh, this is like a tunnel that goes the whole way through. Oh, I can't even turn. Wow. This one's very small and it looks quite claustrophobic. It looks like there might be something at the end. This is what the tunnel's like on the inside. It stretches for quite a distance, but I don't want to go all the way to the end because I'm not sure I can get turned. I don't want to get stuck. This place is crazy. I try to imagine people 5,000 years ago moving these rocks and making this structure. It's incredible. Here's the view from inside. Fantastic views. And then there's Ernie Boy in the distance. There's another one on its own, and inside it's a very long tunnel like this with a chamber at the back. Well, it's probably about 10 metres long. I'm not going to go down to the end of it. I get really claustrophobic when I do things like this. I did caving once when I was younger. I think I was 11 or 12 years old. I really didn't enjoy it. I think the chamber at the end is probably similar to the other one that I saw in the big tomb. Okay, now I've explored this spot. Let's go to the next one. Before heading to the next spot, I'd like to quickly say thanks to Manta Sleep for making it possible to film this video today. Manta Sleep make the best sleep eye masks. They are so comfortable, they're completely customizable to your head and the positions of your eyes, and they are 100% blackout. Each mask comes with a carry case and earplugs. I find my sleep eye mask so useful when I take long journeys like on ferries or on planes, when I sleep in cities and streetlights sometimes leak through the windows, during the long summer nights when the sun rises very early, and also when I stay in my van as vehicles often pass by and their lights come in the windows. I always have such a great night of sleep whenever I use my Manta sleep mask. There's different sleep masks available depending on your sleep position. This one is for people who sleep on their back, but there's also a side sleeper sleep mask available too. Manta Sleep are offering 10% discount on their sleep masks. All you need to do is check out the link in the video description below, use the code RuthAshling at checkout, and you'll get your discount. Now let's head to the next location. My next stop is a place called the Whilego Harbour, or Whilego Steps. And I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but this is one of the most spectacular harbours in Scotland, and there's lots of steps to get down to the sea level. I've come down a few steps and I'm already starting to see the harbour here. Wow, there's big cliffs on each side. Oh my goodness, wow, it's really steep. Reminds me of the sea cliffs on St Kilda, although these are not as high. Whilego Haven is surrounded on 3 sides by 76-metre cliffs, and it can be reached by the Whilego Steps, which zigzag down the cliffside. The natural harbour at the foot of the steps has been a long-standing landing point for herring, salmon, whitefish and shellfish. First prospected by Thomas Telford in 1786, who decided it was a terrible place for a harbour, Captain David Brodie then went on to build the steps, at a cost of £8, resulting in a harbour which supported 14 herring boats. Fishermen used to haul baskets of fish up the 365 man-made steps every day before they were taken on foot to be sold in the nearby town of Wick, which is around 7 miles away. The sides of this harbour are so steep, they're cliff faces basically. The steps really go to show that if you have an idea and you're determined, you can make things happen. Even if everyone else says it's impossible or you can't do it, these steps are an example of the fact that you can. Other people tell you it's impossible, well, maybe it's not impossible. Maybe you're just the first person to do it. Down here is the pulley that would have been used probably to pull up the boats. I saw a lot of these when I was in Shetland, and I always thought they were to do with laundry. They look a bit like old mangles, but actually they're pulleys for hoisting up the boats. Oh look, there's some things there in the rocks that would have been used probably for the boats also. I next made my way to the town of Wick, situated on the northeastern tip of the mainland, along the North Coast 500 route. Wick was a planned town built in the early 19th century by Thomas Telford to accommodate the booming herring fishing industry. Divided by the River Wick, it consists of 2 distinct areas: the original borough on the north bank and Pulteney town on the south. I've now made it to Wick, and this was actually the herring fishing capital of Europe in the mid-19th century. It's located beside the coast, and there is a whisky distillery here that is said to have a maritime taste to it, which is really interesting. It's called the Old Pulteney Distillery. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I've turned up and it's a Saturday today, and it looks like the distillery is not open on a weekend. But even though it's not open, I'm interested to go and have a wander around and see the buildings, because it's such an old distillery, so the buildings are probably quite old and quite traditional. And I'm sure there must be a shop here in Wick that sells the whisky from here, so that's the next plan. The Old Pulteney Distillery was founded in 1826 by James Henderson during the peak of Wick's herring boom. It was originally established to supply whisky to local fishermen and the surrounding area. Whisky was banned in Wick from 1922 to 1947 due to local prohibition, influenced by the temperance movement. Alcohol was blamed for social issues and poor discipline among fishermen, leading the community to vote for the ban. The ban lasted 25 years, but was eventually lifted in 1947 after a public vote. After several changes in ownership throughout its history, Old Pulteney is now owned by Inver House Distillers, which acquired it in 1995. I'm at the door here outside, and in the summer it's open Monday to Saturday, but then from October to March, so the winter season, it's open only Monday to Friday. Opposite the distillery there is a big warehouse, and it says the name of the distillery on the side, so maybe that's where they store all the casks of whisky. The exterior of the distillery really reminds me of some of the distilleries in Campbelltown, specifically Springbank. I think it's the brickwork on the exterior of the building. It makes it look so old and feels like you're going back in time to the 1800s when you see whisky distilleries that still look like that, because these days there's quite a few new distilleries and quite modern distilleries, but it's quite nice to see these older style distilleries still in operation. I'm back here at the van, done some research, and there is a wine and whisky shop here in Wick, and people have written really good things about it, so I'm going to head there and try and buy some of the whisky. As I was driving down here, I saw a sign saying the world's shortest street. I'm going to find out what that is, because that sounds very interesting. I'm back from the whisky and wine shop. There's lots of whisky in there, all the different ones from the Old Pulteney, and I actually bought a big bottle of a 12-year-old. So this was £31. They don't have any miniatures, and the only option was to get a big bottle, and I thought the price was quite reasonable for a whisky, a single malt, so I decided to buy it. And one of you actually left a super thanks on one of the videos a wee while ago and said, Ruth, buy yourself a bottle of single malt. And this is actually the first ever bottle of single malt that I have bought. I did buy the Monkey Shoulder a while ago, but it's a blend, but this is the first single malt that I've ever bought. So I also bought it without trying it, so I really hope I like it. It has a salty taste to it, that's what the lady in the shop said. So I'll be trying this later on. I want to see what it looks like inside. The box is very nice. Oh, it feels so exciting to open it. It's in such a lovely box. Okay, so this is what the whiskey looks like. This is the bottle. Looking forward to trying this later on. Down here looks like prime otter territory. I did have a quick look, but there doesn't seem to be anything. I asked the lady in the whiskey and wine shop, and she said that here is the shortest street in the world, and it actually is the shortest street in the world. I believe it's called Mackay Street. I saw a sign for it, but here it says Union Street. I'm not very sure. I think this is meant to be the shortest street, but it's quite long. It doesn't look like the shortest street. She said that there's a plaque, but I don't see anything. There's quite a few buildings that are boarded up and abandoned here in Wick. I asked a friendly local and he brought me here to show me where is the shortest street. So it's only basically at this roundabout. You go round the side of the hotel here, and then this is it from here to here. And it mentions here, this is the shortest street in the world, measured at 2 meters, 2 meters 5 centimeters, 6 foot 9 inches. And it has a single postal address, which is part of the entrance to the bistro of the hotel, which is here. That is crazy. So I'm just on the opposite side now, and that is literally it there. The width of the doorway pretty much is the shortest street. Oh, that's nice to have visited the shortest street. I was driving along near the water and came across the area where all the herring used to be traded. So here is the old herring mart where all the herring used to be sold. Wick's herring industry, once the lifeblood of the town, experienced its peak in the mid-19th century. During the boom period, over 1,000 boats landed herring here daily. Wick's herring industry declined due to overfishing, competition from other ports, collapsing export markets, and the rise of more efficient steam-powered vessels that outpaced the local fleets. By the early 20th century, the once thriving trade had ended, leaving a lasting impact on the town's economy. Today, fishing in Wick is much smaller in scale, focusing on shellfish like crabs and lobsters, with an emphasis on sustainable practices. Wow, there's so many lobster pots here. Behind the herring mart, there's this other old building. There's quite a lot of old buildings here, all from the past. I wonder what are in these cabins here. Are these people's private fishing cabins maybe? Or independent fishermen maybe use these. Hadn't planned to come here actually, and I'm really glad I did. It's really interesting to learn about the herring industry here in Wick. I didn't know that much about it, and Wick really reminds me of Campbelltown. There was also a herring industry in Campbelltown as well. I don't know why. It feels very similar. It's a bit like deja vu walking around here. I feel like I'm in Campbelltown. I have made it to Tesco Town. Going to be heading in there, and I'm going to buy something Scottish for dinner. I think I'm going to cook haggis tonight because we're going to the top of Scotland. I have some whiskey and I also had the Scottish breakfast. Let's go in and see if they have any haggis for sale inside. They have the 12-year whiskey here, the one that I bought, and it's £36.50, so £5.50 more than the shop I bought it in, so it was a good idea to buy it in the other shop. Let me show you what I got in Tesco. So I'm planning to make haggis with mashed potatoes, and this time I bought the McSween vegetarian haggis. So you can get normal haggis, but there's also a vegetarian option available. And I know the last time I got a bit of slack for using pre-made mashed potato, but I don't have great cooking facilities in the van. I also don't have a masher, so I've decided to go for the pre-made one. And then I got some cream and butter for making whiskey sauce, got some salad, and then I saw this recently. This is a veggie breakfast pack, so you can get veggie square sausage and black pudding and sausages, but I've never tried veggie square sausage or black pudding, so I bought it and thought I'd give it a try since it was reduced, almost half price. I've now arrived here at a place called Dunnet Head, and behind me you can see the lighthouse. It looks like a Stevenson lighthouse with the yellow and white colours. A short walk from the car park is a castle, and there's been quite a few comments on previous videos asking to show more castles in Scotland. And I think because I'm from Scotland, castles are quite common to see when I'm travelling around, so maybe I don't show them as much in the videos, but I'll head to this one now and show you what it's like. From the pictures, it looks like this castle is derelict and abandoned, but it has a really interesting history behind it. Looking forward to seeing it. Wow, so I've just arrived here at the castle. It is so impressive. Look how it's built inside the cliffs. Wow. I've not seen a castle like that before. Castle Sinclair Gurnago was built in the late 15th century by the Sinclair family. It became the Sinclair family's stronghold and saw internal feuds, including the imprisonment of one of their own. There are tales of eerie occurrences within the castle. The most famous ghost associated with the castle is the Green Lady, said to be the spirit of a woman who met a tragic end within its walls. Some believe she was a servant or a member of the Sinclair family, doomed to wander after a betrayal or wrongful death. Witnesses claim to see her figure wandering the ruins or sense her presence on stormy nights. In terms of other castles that I've seen in Scotland, this looks most like Dunnet Castle, which is in the town of Portpatrick in southern Scotland. It's interesting that there's a castle almost at the southernmost point of Scotland that's very similar to this, and this is very close to the northernmost point of mainland Scotland. I wonder if there's any correlation. So here is an impression of what the castle would have looked like. And sometimes when you see a ruin, it's really hard to envision, but look at all the different rooms. It's so incredible. Okay, I am about to go inside the castle. I am so excited, I don't know why. This castle feels really special and really, really old. Let's go! The castle was damaged during political upheavals in the 17th century, leading to its abandonment and ruin. Restoration efforts began in the 20th century, and it is now a scheduled ancient monument. Down some of the corridors, there are these metal doors, so you can't go any further. It's probably quite dangerous in there. Wow, this is the view that they would have had out the castle windows. Oh my goodness! It's very impressive, but there's quite a few areas that are cornered off, so you can't actually go inside. But from the outside, it is such an impressive castle. I think this is the most impressive castle I have seen in Scotland from the exterior. You can't really see much inside, but it's fantastic. I continued my journey north towards an area called Duncansby. Really enjoyed the castle. I think it's probably my second favourite castle in Scotland after Dunnet Castle. That is still my favourite castle, and you can see much more inside when you explore it. I've arrived here now at Duncansby, and this place has a lighthouse, and there's also a walk to see some sea stacks, which look really interesting. But as I was driving up here, I am so surprised to see Orkney just there. This is my first time in this area, and I didn't realise how close Orkney was. And in the distance I can see the cliffs on the Isle of Hoy. That is one of my favourite places in Scotland. Rackwick Beach and St John's Head. St John's Head are some of the highest sea cliffs in the UK, and you can see them from here. It's amazing. I set off on a walk to find some sea stacks and passed Duncansby Head Lighthouse, which was built in 1924. The purpose of this lighthouse was to help guide ships navigating the dangerous waters of the Pentland Firth, one of the busiest and most treacherous sea routes in the UK, due to strong tides and rocky outcrops. Like all lighthouses in Scotland, it's now automated. I have walked around 15-20 minutes so far, not very far, and I've arrived at a place where you can see the viewpoint of the sea stacks, and they are so spiky. I've never seen sea stacks as pointed as this. I think the only one might have been when I was on St Kilda, Stack and Armagh. It was very pointy, but these are really sharp and jaggy sea stacks. Wow. I'm going to hike up to the top of the cliff so I can get a better view close up of the sea stacks because they're pretty impressive. I am so glad I walked all the way up here to see them. They are so impressive. Wow. The Duncansby stacks are formed from old red sandstone, a type of rock that is over 400 million years old. The stacks themselves are the remnants of sea cliffs that have been eroded by the forces of wind and water, leaving behind these dramatic vertical columns. They rise as high as 60 metres above the sea and are a haven for seabirds. There are so many flies here. I don't think they're midges, they're flies. So I'm going to head back. It takes around maybe 45 minutes if you walk all the way to the end here, but I think it's worth it. So 1 hour 30-minute return trip. Okay, I have made it now to John O Groats, and I always thought that this was the northernmost point of mainland Britain, but apparently it's not. The northernmost point is a different place, which I'm going to go to next. But I've pulled up here at the car park to have a little look and see what is around, and it does seem quite a touristy place here, to be honest. There is a distillery and there is a brewery. And I've already visited the distillery in Wick, so I think I'm going to go inside the brewery and possibly pick up a beer to have with my dinner tonight. There was no rain forecast today, same old story. There's never rain on the forecast, but it always ends up raining. So here is the place where people start the walk from John O Groats to Land's End. Up here is the famous signpost. I've seen pictures of this so many times. It's so funny to see it in real life. Wow. John O Groats is famously known as the starting point for the journey to Land's End in Cornwall, marking one of the longest distances between 2 points on the British mainland, about 874 miles. I popped into the brewery to pick up a beer. I was speaking to some local guys and they said the distillery, it doesn't actually have any whiskey yet because it's still maturing. So I got this in the brewery here. They recommended this one, the Amber Groat, for people who like light beer. So I'll put this in the fridge and give it a try later on. It's so nice in there. The bar in there is so cosy with the log burner. Really lovely place. I was actually speaking to another Scottish person and they also thought that this was the top of Scotland. So I don't know why it has the reputation of being the top of Scotland. If anyone knows why, please let us know because it's not. Now I will go to the official top of Scotland. I'm driving to the northernmost point of Scotland. I had to stop because the scenery is so beautiful. I think I'm just going to make it there in time for the sunset. The sunset with these orange autumn colours is amazing, amazing. As the sun started to go down, I made my way towards the actual northernmost point of mainland Scotland, Dunnet Head. I just made it in time for the sunset. Wow. As I'm walking over to the lighthouse here, I can see that the light is on. Wow. Very exciting to finally make it to the top of Scotland, although here you cannot fly a drone due to nesting birds, but the nesting birds are probably gone this time of year, but I will obey the sign. But very nice to be here and it's so beautiful at this time of year. I'm still so amazed with how close Orkney is, and then over there you can actually see the Old Man of Hoy poking out there on the left side of Hoy, or I think that's the Old Man of Hoy. Definitely looks like it. I am ticking off all the northernmost, easternmost, westernmost, southernmosts. I think there are a few more still to go. There is the easternmost point of mainland Scotland, and there is the westernmost point of Scotland, Rockall, which I keep mentioning, and I don't think I'll ever get there, but you never know, someday. Since I'm at the top of Scotland, I am going to finish off my day by having some Scottish food inside the camper van, and also I need to try the whiskey that I bought in Wick. Very excited to try that. Okay, it is freezing now, so let's go back into the van. Okay, let's get the heater on. It's so cold. I've made it back into the camper van. It's starting to warm up. Put the Starlink on the roof, have the heater on, and now it's time to cook the haggis. So I am going to make haggis with whiskey sauce. To start off with, I'm going to have a taste of the beer. So recently I got a fridge in my van, which is so exciting. It was a bit of a debate whether to actually get one or not, because it takes up a bit of space. But I put it here under the sofa, but I put the beer in there. My Johnny Groats. Johnny Groats. Let's give it a go. Very nice. Now let's cook up the haggis. Going to start cooking dinner. I changed into a new top. I actually bought this when I was in Tesco. It was in the sale and I tried it on and I was like, oh, don't know if I'm going to buy it. And then there were two ladies nearby. They're like, wow, it looks fabulous. You need to buy it. I was like, no, I don't think so. They're like, oh, you have to. It's so nice. So I bought it. It was £8. I think it actually looks quite nice. What does everyone think? Last time I cooked haggis, it was recommended to cook it in foil. So I don't obviously have an oven or microwave in here. So I'm going to wrap it in foil and then cook it like this. And then I'm going to put it in the boiling water. It always feels like milking a cow when I use the foot thumb. It's so funny. Unfortunately, the beer is already finished. Wasn't much in the bottle. Okay. That's the haggis underway. Now it's time to make the whiskey sauce. But I don't think I'll use this whiskey in the whiskey sauce because it's obviously quite an expensive whiskey, but I need to try this. Let's use the Highland Park dram glass today. I think I have about 10 dram glasses now. I actually had to remove some from the camper van, put them in the house because there was way too many. And I really have a favourite shape, which is this shape of dram glass. This is so exciting to open my first ever bottle of single malt. Hope I like it. I really am not sure how to pronounce this. Old Pulteney. Old Pulteney? Old Pulteney. Oh, smells nice. Let's give it a go. Okay. Oh, I'm so excited to try this. Cheers, everyone. Okay. Oh yeah, it does have a bit of a salty seaside texture to it. Interesting. It's not peated though. If you've watched my videos before, I think you'll know my preference on whiskies. Usually I prefer the peated whiskies, but it's good, very good. Now the haggis is bubbling away, I'm going to start making the whiskey sauce. I'm just going to use this one. Since we're in this area, it's better to use this one. So 3 to 4 tablespoons of whiskey. 1, 2, 3, 4. The first thing to do is we need to add the butter and melt, and then the whiskey. Okay, 3 tablespoons of butter. Okay, and then light the whiskey. Okay, so if any of you remember last time I made whiskey sauce in the camper van, you need to set the whiskey on fire. But last time I was a bit scared to do it because I didn't want to have a fire in the camper van, but the flame wasn't that big. So tonight I'm going to light the flame in the camper van. Okay, so the reason you burn the whiskey is so that you burn off the alcohol. But last time a lot of you were saying, oh, there's no need to do that because you want to taste the alcohol. But I'm just going to follow the recipe. This recipe is from scottishscran.com if anyone wants to make the same whiskey sauces. A very good recipe. We're ready for the burning of the whiskey. Is everyone ready for this spectacle? I'm a little bit scared. Burn off the alcohol to make it less bitter. the flame can be quite aggressive. Be careful now. I don't really want to do it outside, you know, but let's just do it like right here. Okay, ready? Oh God. Oh, this is so exciting. Oh my gosh. Doesn't seem like there's much alcohol to burn off. Okay, I think that's it done. Oh, there we go, there we go. Oh, can you see that? Look. Oh, wow. Oh, alcohol has been burnt off. Now we need to add the cream. So I have double cream. This is 150, so. And then the stock and the mustard. Salt and pepper to taste. So I think that's pretty much it. It's really simple to make actually, and really quite quick. Now we need to wait for the sauce to thicken up, and it does thicken up really nicely actually, and oh my gosh, this whiskey sauce is so good. Do you know how the wee haggis is doing? Bubbling away there. He must be getting on well. Okay, guys, I made a terrible mistake. So I was trying to take the haggis out, and I thought, oh, it would be better to stab it with a knife. I don't know what I was thinking, but unfortunately the haggis burst. Fair failure on a sonsy face, great cheaper in the pudding race. Up in the mine, attack your place. I was planning to do the whole poem as I addressed into the haggis, but it's already been burst. Anyway, now it's time to heat up the mashed potato. Well, let's try and heat this up. Oh, I could add some butter, that would be nice. Make it more buttery. Oh, maybe that's a bit much. Oh, I'm sure it's fine. Okay. Maybe a tad more butter. I think we're ready to serve up the dinner. I need to show you, the haggis is like this. So it's like a big sausage, and I burst it already. So I'm taking out the haggis, a spoonful at a time. There we go, there's the haggis. And then here we have the mashed potato and the whiskey sauce. So I'm going to put them onto the plate as well now. Here is the haggis, potatoes and whiskey sauce. I am not a chef. I am just a normal person cooking my dinner, and this is the end result. So I'm going to eat this now. Here we go. Oh my god. This is better than Sonny Beans ravioli. It's just incredible. This is the best meal I've ever had in my life. Oh, it's just so wonderful. The whiskey sauce. Like, words cannot describe the taste of this whiskey sauce. Like, you have to make it. I'm going to put this in the video description, the recipe for this whiskey sauce. It is so good. It is unreal. It is just, oh, it's quite easy to make as well. There's really not that many ingredients, and you can use any whiskey. You don't need to use like a Scottish whiskey. You can literally use any whiskey. The haggis was fantastic, very good. And made the hot water bottle. It's so cold now. Winter is definitely here in Scotland, and it was such a great adventure to explore this northern corner of Scotland and arrive at the northernmost point of mainland Scotland. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.